Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. Follow us on Instagram at I Feel Fat Today. Follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, on Instagram at Hello, this is Kelly. And head on over to Apple and leave a 5-star review. If you leave a 5-star review on our Apple podcasts, then your review will be featured on our Instagram, and isn't that exciting? Really appreciate it. It really helps the show, and it really helps my ego. And yes, it's true. I got a standing desk. I love the mobility. I really do. I did get this on TikTok Shop, like a real capitalist TikTok girly. I do not have a link for you. I do not make any money off of this. I probably could do all those things, but that is just a bridge too far for me right now, because this thing could topple over. I only just got it, and it was very inexpensive for the job that it is tasked with, holding up my electronics, and I had to assemble it, so that's another mark against its structural integrity. But really it just seemed like a solid desk. It's not about the desk. I'm saying that if you are considering getting a standing desk, like you're thinking it might make you more productive, if you're somebody that takes phone calls while you're like pacing around the apartment or going for walks outside, or you go for a walk to like help clear your mind, I would say get a standing desk. I need to take a sip of water because I am, for some reason, just rattling off information without taking any breaths. We're in the month of December. We're getting ready for New Year's resolutions in January, and I am somebody that doesn't like to focus my resolutions so much on my body. I like to just look at resolutions more externally and come up with goals that have nothing to do with like the food that I put in my mouth or the movement that my body does. I like having goals that are numbers based, that aren't numbers on a scale. I care more about the algorithm. Okay, I'm stepping on wires. Ooh, can't do that. Damn standing desk. I end up unplugging the recorder and the whole podcast is in the trash. On to more pressing matters. Taylor Swift is Time's Person of the Year. Woo! Almost as impressive as I Feel Fat Today getting 100 subscribers on YouTube. But yes, Taylor Swift is deemed or named Time's Person of the Year for 2023. That is just so happened that we both happen to be two baddies wearing black turtleneck, long sleeve shirts. This is what she wore on the cover, and I just happened to pick this before I even saw that. So we're just aligned like that. Me and Tay-Tay, me and Taylor, Kelly Taylor Swift. I feel like I was a part of history in going to the Eras Tour. If you are not a fan of Taylor Swift or you think she's really lame, go to Spotify.com, go into the search bar and type in Taylor Swift, You're Losing Me. Everything about that song is perfect and really a testament to her talent. And Midnights is a breakup album. Okay. All right. We're moving on. Okay. We're sorry. If you're listening and you hate Taylor Swift, I'm not going to bring it up again. I just had to get that out. That's what I have to talk about before we get into today's articles. Oh, also in this week is a solo episode. Don't be mad at me. I don't know why I feel like my listeners are mad when I do solo episodes because they actually do pretty well. But I think it's more of me just being self-conscious. Oh gosh. I am needing to, I don't know why I'm like this. I think because I'm overtired. You know, when you get overtired and you're just like kind of going, and it's just like, okay, this is the last thing I need to do before I can just unplug and watch Housewives, you know? For what I have to talk about in terms of media today are two articles that I found interesting and also just of the times. The first article that we're going to look at is this notion of children, the youth, people under the age of 18, prepubescent actually with GMOs. I don't even know what's prepubescent anymore, but kids with 9-step skincare routines. And this is brought upon by social media, TikTok, where people, women, people, but mostly women, will film themselves doing their skincare routines. I love to watch them. I save those videos in a collection on my TikTok account called Things to Buy. Do I always buy them? 95% of the time, no. But there are certain times where if I see that a product has showed up in enough videos on the video stored in my Things to Buy collection, I get influenced and I buy them. But that's because I'm an adult and I have my own money to buy those things. Tweens, I don't know how they're getting the money to buy these myriad of skincare products to then film themselves doing it. Also, you're a tween. You know, like acne doesn't start until you're in puberty. So we're going to take a look at this. It's written by a mom, so it is from that point of view. So just, take that into account as I'm reading it. But I thought it was interesting. So, okay, this came out yesterday, December 5th. Tweens are obsessed with skincare. As parents, should we be worried? Earlier this year, Northwest, the daughter of Kim Kardashian and Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, shared a TikTok video of her elaborate skincare routine. North was 9 at the time. I can't say I watched the clip, but if I had, I would have rolled my eyes and thought, that celebrity kid's for you, growing up too fast. In the video, North rubs a variety of lotions and potions on her face, including a pricey moisturizer from a line called Drunk Elephant. I hadn't heard of Drunk Elephant until my daughter included it on her Hanukkah wish list. She's 8. Joke's on me. I'm going to pause here and say I have an inability to buy Christmas presents for people and not put something in the cart that is also for me. I think it's because I'm bad at shopping for myself. So if I'm in shopping mode, I'm like, oh, I also need that. So I had been wanting to try the Drunk Elephant bronzing drops. And of course, I saw the girlies on TikTok. I literally think I saw an 11-year-old do this, where they have the Drunk Elephant moisturizer that comes in this specific packaging, where the way that the moisturizer is dispensed is you push the top and it comes out of the middle. And then they take the bronzing drops and they squeeze a few of the drops in the moisturizer that they've just dispensed from the applicator into this perfect little area to mix in the bronzing things, the bronzing drops and the Drunk Elephant moisturizer. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm going to throw that in the cart too. That moisturizer was $68. No, I did not get that moisturizer. Bad enough that the bronzing drops were $38, which they psychologically were able to con me into purchasing because it wasn't $40. Because if it was $40 or $42, there was no way. Maybe even $39, I would have been like, oh, that's a bit much. But $38, I was like, that's in the budget. But yeah, $68 for the moisturizer. And I realized it's not the moisturizer that you're paying $68 for. You're paying $68 for the ability to have the packaging where you dispense the lotion by pushing down on the little circle thing and watching as the moisturizer, the $68 moisturizer, dispense out and make this perfect little circle that is just ripe for you to combine. And it feels like, you're doing these little potions and you're just going to be so beautiful if you buy the Drunk Elephant moisturizer. But I didn't do that. I just got the bronzing drops. So yeah. An 8-year-old asking for $68 moisturizer. I digress. We'll keep going. When I ask friends if their tweens are also requesting skincare gifts, the answer is an astounding yes. They all want it. Face masks, serums, creams, and like me, other parents don't know how to feel. Is skincare the gateway to bad body image? Will it lead to obsessive beauty behaviors, or should we be glad that they're willingly applying SPF? Reddit and Facebook groups for moms are filled with posts written by perplexed parents. This is the age group that needs this stuff the least, Reddit user blah, blah, blah said. I never went through this phase as a kid. I'm so baffled. Same here. I'm baffled. And I'm also concerned. Next holiday season, will my 4th grade be asking for lip injections? Sometimes we put adult lenses on things. For example, kids are probably attracted to skincare simply because they think it's fun and the product smells good. We're panicking that next thing they're going to want anti-aging treatments. Sinclair McBride tells Today.com. We're putting our own group of fears onto them. Sinclair McBride also understands why skincare is appealing for kids. Unlike makeup tutorials, which can be super complicated, lotions and such are easy to apply. They might be thinking, I can't wear a full face of makeup, but I can do a skincare routine like the big girls, Sinclair McBride explains. According to Ira Skolnick, a board-certified pediatric dermatologist in Concord, Massachusetts, kids should be using products that are labeled hypoallergenic and non-comedogenic. I don't know what non-comedogenic means. I'm sorry, guys. Skolnick strongly advises against anything that contains retinol for kids under the age of 12, unless it's prescribed by a doctor, as it could be extremely irritating to the skin. Rama Haida, a pediatric psychologist at Boston Children's Hospital, says to ask open-ended questions when talking to your kids about skincare. You may also, say something like, I noticed you're really into skin right now. I was just curious what brought this up for you. Try to avoid close-ended questions that can make children more defensive. For instance, did you see something on social media? Yeah, don't ask a kid. God, I don't think my parents know what an open-ended question is. If I was into something that my parents were confused about, they just would ask me if I was on drugs. Be like, you're really into that mascara. Are you on drugs? That's so much eyeliner. You must be on drugs. Get with it, parents. If their answers are pretty innocuous, then you can just assume it's just harmless fun. I'm not overly concerned about the tween skincare trend, Skolnick adds. After talking to experts, I'm feeling better about it too, but I will keep an eye on my daughter to make sure her interest in skincare doesn't turn into an utter unhealthy obsession with her appearance. It's popular. Skincare is popular with tweens right now. It's because it's what they see on the internet. I was into stuff that I saw on the internet. I was into a certain kind of music because I discovered it on MySpace. Everything that influences you as a kid is what you saw older people or older kids that you kind of maybe see as adults are doing. The tweens that are asking for $68 Drunk Elephant moisturizer are the same tweens that watch Alex Earl get ready before she, goes out to get blackout drunk in Miami. I don't know. Okay, will young people's prepubescent people really will this lead to body dysmorphic behavior, and is it dangerous? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Time will tell, but what I feel as if it's no. I feel like if anything, it's going to inform maybe some new beauty trends, like the clean girl makeup style. What's really driving the charge here for kids being into skincare, it's just marketing and moving money and the C word, capitalism. I'm an adult woman. I am a 31-year-old woman, and I have sat through a young girl getting ready for her friend's bat mitzvahs. Okay, I am in this and it feels weird that I watch that, and I don't watch it for fun. It just kind of shows up and I'm dead-eyed anyway after a very long excruciating day just trying to make all the voices stop. So when I'm watching it, it's more of a dissociative therapy, not a real, I don't know. But yeah, so the kids are on skincare. All right, let's move on to our next and final article, which is a lot more adult. I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to read this article. I got it from NPR, and I wanted to discuss it because we are, as I mentioned, it's December, so we're on the precipice of everybody changing their lives, where they're going to be new people and form new habits and be the best version of themselves, especially because we're going into a year that ends in an even number, because, say it with me, years that end in odd numbers are just weird and off. Okay, 2016 was a wash. I don't know. And 2020 was weird too. But doesn't matter. We're going into New Year's resolutions season. We're going into Whole30 season. We're going into I'm not drinking. We're going into dry January season. And so with that, found this article that talks about diet culture, how it's everywhere, and really what you can do to combat it. Getting back to really like the heart of the podcast, talking about diet culture, why it's really bad, and how we can just live a life that is free of that. Funny enough, this article that we're about to dive into came out January of 2022. So this is a year old, and the writer details how they're, putting this out now because of where we are in the time of the year, people having their resolutions, how so many so much of the time when you think resolution, you think like going on a diet, changing your body, and how that's not the life that like we have to be living. We can fight against that. This article also goes into BMI, the history of BMI, and how it isn't a proper indicator of one's health. And that's another reason why I wanted to jump into this article, because that is something that people don't consider, I think, when talking about body positivity or fat positivity, fat acceptance. I think that people that try to say that they're not for body neutrality and people just existing in like the bodies that they're genetically supposed to have, they say, well, it's unhealthy. And if you're basing that off of, and it's not to say that that can't be unhealthy. Things like hypertension, things like high blood pressure, things like high cholesterol are all afflictions that can happen to skinny people, but we only say that they're bad when they're attributed to fat people, and they could have been avoided if that person wasn't fat. And that's not always the case. And I think that that is informed by BMI. So we'll get into why BMI isn't as big of, or isn't an indicator of one's health, but yet it is used as the basis. And the marker for people losing weight, especially when you go to like things like the doctor to check in on your health. So we're going to get into that, and then you guys are free to go. Class is over. Or you can pause this and delete it and pretend that you never even heard my voice or seen my face. From NPR, from January 2022, diet culture is everywhere. Here's how to fight it. If you've made a resolution to lose weight or get fit this year, you're in a very big boat. In 2022, nearly half of New Year's resolutions in the U.S. were based on fitness, and 40% were based on weight loss. We spend over $30 billion on diet products annually, and an estimated 45 million Americans diet every year. There are endless number of reasons why you might want to change your body. The holiday weight, your dating profile, medical issues, your new bathing suit. But the real culprit is usually diet culture. Diet culture is that collective set of social expectations telling us that there's one way to be and one way to look and one way to eat, and that we're a better person, we're a more worthy person if our bodies are a certain way, says UK-based body image researcher Nadia Craddock. And it's a shapeshifter. You might think you're not subscribing to diet culture, but rather are focusing on health or fitness. It's a rebranding, says Craddock. These days, she says, the diet industry has adapted its messaging to be less blatantly about appearance and more about the in vogue ideals of health and wellness. But there is still that very same common error of equating health and thinness as one in the same, she says. It's true. Despite all of the medical and media messaging shouting otherwise, thinness and health are not the same, and fatness does not necessarily equate to being unhealthy. Can someone tell my grandma that, please? The good news is there's plenty you and I can do, regardless of age or gender or body type, to start freeing ourselves from this actively harmful mindset. For decades now, medical professionals have used the body mass index as a go-to measure for health, and you've likely heard many times that high BMI can lead to disease and death. But history tells us a different story. The body mass index was created by a 19th century Belgian statistician named Adolphe Quetelet. It was built as a tool to assess weight distribution across populations and was based on his idea of the, quote, ideal man, using a small sampling of the size and measurements of white, male, Scottish, and French soldiers. So think about that. Just stop for a second here. BMI is based on the measurements of white, male, Scottish, and French soldiers. I don't know if you've ever met a French guy. He's slender. So the basis of the BMI, the impetus of the BMI was based on those ideal body weights, okay? Eugenics was later built on Quetelet's ideal man model. Then, in the 1970s, a number of prominent American doctors, tired of insurance companies setting arbitrary weight and mortality standards for insurance payments, adopted and rebranded Quetelet's index. But the BMI was never meant to measure individual health, and again, was based purely on the studies of white men. There's no evidence that these studies were representative in terms of race, age, gender, any of these things that can lead to differences in outcomes. And yet, despite its many flaws, the BMI is our go-to measure for health for all genders and body types. And many still struggle to write off the BMI because of how often it's invoked to prove that fatness leads to illness. But correlation is not causation, Sabrina Strings, Fearing the Black Body, The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia says, and points to the current research showing that people can be healthy at any size as long as they have the resources to do so. Access to fruits and vegetables, access to lean proteins, living in walkable neighborhoods, String says. All of these things are so important to our health outcomes. And yet, instead of looking at these factors, people want to base just on weight. One way to protect yourself here. Our experts say you have the right to say no to getting weighed at the doctor's office. If your doctor gives you a weight-based recommendation, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself or ask what advice they might have for someone in a different BMI. I want to put a pin in this real quick. I do like what this article is suggesting when saying if you have the ability to advocate for yourself, to ask what advice they might have for someone of a different BMI. Because you would likely get a very different answer, and the doctor may actually be thrown by you asking such a question, because time and time again, fat people, overweight people, whatever, go to the doctor, they have an ailment, and the answer is always lose weight. Even when I wasn't fat, my BMI was always higher than what was considered normal, which is actually infuriating when I really think about it. And I was told that the problem would cease if I lost weight. And, maybe the problem would cease if I stopped eating gluten, or if I, intake my fiber, whatever the case may be. But being given that prognosis versus the prognosis of lose weight are very different things. Because if you tell me to lose weight, okay, time to starve myself, time to, expel any means of food from my body through any means necessary. Being told to eat more fiber and being told to lose weight are two completely different ways of communicating to somebody what they need to do. Okay. Recognize that health and beauty standards are not absolute. Moving your body and eating nutrient-rich foods is always a good idea, but it's important to understand how much we're motivated by our culturally accepted aesthetics when we pursue these goals. Diet culture purports that every fat person is a thin person waiting to be released, and that we should fear fatness. And that truly is always what I've believed, or what I was made to believe. Even now, as I stand here in this body, I'm just I look in the mirror, and on my worst day, I want to take theoretical scissors and I want to cut the fat off my body and have the skinny version of myself walk out of this fat suit that I'm in, that Khloe Kardashian cutely claims that that's what she's in when she's fat. She's in a fat suit. I'll walk out of this and I'll finally be the version of myself that I can accept because it's accepted by everybody else. And I won't feel gross, and I won't feel less than, and I won't feel like I am not afforded the same things because I am the skinny person that is underneath this fat person that's being suffocated by them. And this has devolved into something that's not at all funny. Getting back to this. This article is saying you're not afraid of being fat. You're afraid of being treated like a fat person. Virgil Tover, a San Francisco-based author and public speaker whose work centers on ending weight-based discrimination. Tover says fat phobia is a harmful friction, and she speaks from personal experience. Growing up as a fat person, she experienced constant verbal and emotional fat-phobic abuse in school. Messaging she internalized for years until she met a group of fat activists while in grad school. And they basically told me, you have the right to exist exactly as you are, Tover says. You have the right to be fat. Putting a pin in this, something that has really helped me not completely ruin a day for me is that when I put on an outfit that I thought looked amazing in my head, because in my head when I put together an outfit, I don't have arms. not that I'm like an amputee. It's not like I don't have arms, but like I don't have fat upper arms. I don't have a stomach, or I have a flat stomach, and the curves are just popping right. I look exactly how I want to look in my head when I put together an outfit. And then I put that said outfit on, and there are a lot more things happening on my body that I did not account for. And being able, I learned this on TikTok, to stare in the mirror and like just maybe, put your hands on your body, or just stand there and say, my stomach does not ruin this outfit. My arms does not ruin this outfit. Even if I'm not believing it, it helps get out of my head so that I can exist how I look and not have to have this feeling of like I look bad in this outfit just because of my body. And so that is speaking to what Tover is saying, that, she met this group of fat activists that told her, you have the right to exist how you are. In society where thinness equals beauty, this can sound like a really subversive idea, but it's not universally so. Tovar points to the hundreds of years-long practice of foot binding in China and to modern-day communities in Mauritania, in which fatness is considered the height of beauty. So much so, parents hire fattening consultants and girls take pills that are used to make livestock bigger. The takeaway for me was that no matter what the beauty standard is, women will die to achieve it in a culture where they are taught that their worth and their access to love and humanity is based on that beauty, Tovar says. Isn't that like so indicative of our society now? We have this sort of like, we have this white European standard of beauty that informs our health guidelines and your access to medical care, coupled with the human desire to be perceived as valuable and loved and part of the upper echelon of society. And so for us in America, skinny equals beauty equals greatness. So we here strive to be skinny. We have Mauritania, which is a community. There's a community in this place, Mauritania, in which fatness is considered the height of beauty. So parents go out of their way to make sure that their girls, their daughters, are fat so that they can be considered beautiful. We have, like they mentioned, the 100-year-long practice of foot binding in China. It just was a beautiful thing. Everybody did it. So that's what we did. That's what you do because you want to be the most beautiful. You want to be a part of what everyone else sees as great. What would be like a crazy beauty standard that we would all like immediately jump on? Growing horns. If Gigi Hadid like just decided to like start growing horns out of her head, or or Kim Kardashian, if she decided that she was going to get horns implanted right here, it would be so chic, and women would be going and trying to get horn implant surgery on their heads. Like, look at what Kim Kardashian did for the butt. Like, and now bitch doesn't have a butt. All you fallen soldiers that died getting BBLs, Kim doesn't even have a butt anymore. So think about that when you think about your beauty standard. Okay. We're all susceptible to the social norms that shape our perceptions of what's desirable. So that need to work 100 crunches into your morning routine, or the guilt you feel when you picked the chocolate shake over the kale smoothie, it's probably not about health. It's about American diet culture telling you again and again that if you want to fit in, you have to be thin. And this is true of our health perspectives too, says Bay Area psychologist San Chang. A cousin of diet culture is healthism, which is the idea that we have to be healthy. There is a moral imperative. There's a lot of judgment that comes with it, says Chang, and that weight stigma has actually been determined to have a greater impact on the health problem that fat people experience than the weight itself. In addition to causing perhaps more obvious conditions like anxiety and depression, studies show that experiences or expectations for poor treatment due to weight stigma may cause stress and avoidance of care for things like sexual health, cancer screenings, or preventative care. That's diet culture at work. And that's really what, as a society, we need to move past. The idea that somebody that exists in a bigger body can't get the sufficient health care that they need, whether it's based on a bias from a doctor or an issue with an insurance company. And it's not just weight. So I think 2020 really illuminated how Black women are not treated as they should be in labor and delivery rooms. How they have to be at a level of pain that is so excruciating for them because there's this innate bias and scrutiny by the doctor, thinking that they, on a subconscious level, thinking that these Black patients have a higher pain tolerance. And so these are the biases that we need to move through to get to an equitable environment in the healthcare system. Okay. So the next time you look in the mirror and feel dissatisfied that you're not pretty or thin enough, maybe ask yourself, says who? Identify and interrogate diet culture messaging. Tovar says it's important to examine our fat phobia on 3 levels. The first level is the intrapersonal level. Think about how diet culture makes you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror or when you're scrolling social media. Diet culture messaging can be seen in before and after transformation photos, says Craddock, or in all the posts talking about foods as though it's somehow virtuous. So if your feed is making you feel bad about your body, Chang says it's time to check in with yourself and offered a few starter questions. What is causing me to feel this way about my body right now? Is my body that different from what it was yesterday? What external factors are impacting my feelings? What choice do I have in terms of how much I want to respond to them? The second level is the intrapersonal level, how other people treat us. To spot diet culture in this realm, Chang says, listen for value judgments of food or bodies. That could look like judgment at the gym, being lauded for avoiding some guilty pleasure dessert, or that storyline on TV where the hero loses weight and suddenly gains popularity and acceptance. The third level is institutional fat phobia, or the ease in which you can or cannot navigate society because of your look, says Tovar. Weight discrimination is legal in 49 of 50 states, and it's commonplace from education to healthcare to the workplace, says Craddock. Diet culture creates barriers to access for fat people everywhere. For example, you might consider basic accommodations like chairs or doorways or seatbelts as value neutral, but that only shows us how much diet culture has influenced the design of our world. And that is something that on a personal level, especially with comedy and how I see the world and the things that I laugh at. The influence of diet culture on what seems normal, like chairs not accommodating people's bodies, it's really embedded into our society. You know, something like airplane seats, I think for somebody that is in a standard body, you look at an airplane seat and just think that you don't even feel bad for a fat person. Like, you don't even feel bad for somebody that is uncomfortable or feels horrible that they are sitting next to a person that tries to make themselves so small, you know, so that nobody hates them. Or the person that has to buy 2 seats because they can't fit into one standard airplane seat. And meanwhile, you fucks, the plane seats are just getting smaller so that they can jam more people into that goddamn fart tube in the sky. Like, we just, instead of shifting the blame or shifting where we should have the concern or the anger towards the corporations that are making planes, like, where they pack you in like literal sardines. God forbid you're a fat fish because you're a piece of shit. You've ruined the person's flight in your row because, you know, you have a body that is bigger. And I laugh at content where, you know, comedians point out that, oh, you know, fat travel influencers want toilets to be reinforced and plane seats to be big. And we may look at that and write them off. And yes, I've laughed at that myself. But in reality, why are, especially in America, a fat country, why are there not more accommodations for fat people? You know, and instead of just having the notion, oh, you're fat, you got to lose weight to ride this ride. Not actually ride this ride. I'm not talking about physics. I'm talking about, like, you have to lose weight in order to fit into this booth. You have to lose weight in order to ride this airplane. You have to lose weight to exist in the world. But the design of our world is rooted in diet culture. Words matter. Be intentional with the language you use and the commentary you'll accept. Have you ever been on the giving or receiving end of, hey, you look great, have you lost weight? At face value, this sounds like a positive thing, but this question is yet another reinforcement of the idea that thinner is better, says Craddock. Commenting on another person's body can be a dangerous game. You never know what someone is going through in their life or with their health, so avoid body talk as best as you can, she says. If you want to compliment someone, it's always nice to focus on something that a person has done intentionally, Craddock says. Love those new earrings. Awesome PowerPoint presentation. Your garden is thriving. Your pussy's popping, girl. Another option is to practice whatever Tover calls the sacred silence, or saying nothing at all. You don't have to learn to talk about bodies in an amazing, positive way, says Tovar. Instead, you can just opt out of body talk altogether. And that applies to how other people talk to you as well. Let me tell you, I am in that camp. I am in the camp of the sacred silence because let me tell you something. I have ridden that dopamine train of gaining and losing weight my entire fucking life. I got on board that stop at 5 years old, and I've been riding that train straight on through my adulthood. And let me tell you something. The feeling that rides through my body and comes out my crown chakra when someone says to me, have you lost weight? You look amazing. Bottle and sell that feeling and you will be a fucking billionaire. There is something that I'm chemically addicted to being complimented on my body. And which is great at the time, when you're in your 20s and you can fuck around with weight loss medications and pills and crash diets and everything else. You just are more like a rubber band. You snap right back after you feel like you've gained too much weight. Then you hit your 30s, more like late 20s, and the compliments stop. You don't walk into a room and people compliment on your weight loss or how good you look. Now you walk into a room and people are a little shocked to see you. Maybe not all the times. Maybe you won't even catch how they're like, oh, but it's a different feeling. And guess what? Now when I go places, when I see people, I don't get the compliments I used to get. And it's not that I look bad, and it's not that these people don't love me, but because I clung on to the compliments that I got when I would be at the other end of weight loss, when I'm in a phase of my life where weight loss is not happening for me, now it's like there's this air of ickiness I feel when I'm not getting complimented. And I look back at social interactions, I look back at events that I've gone to, and I feel bad about them. I feel like I've ruined someone's wedding because of the way that I look. I feel like, did I really have as much fun as I thought that I had? Because people were probably judging me for the way that I looked. And I'm not sitting here looking like I'm missing a limb or a burn victim, fucking God willing. But what this is saying is there is power in the silence, because now I'm more desensitized to it. But I wish that I hadn't gotten so high off of the compliments when I was losing weight or when I had lost weight in the past. Nikki Glazer, she has said on different platforms, on different occasions, that she struggles with body image so much, and her, eating disorders, what have you. And she has talked about being greatly affected by this feeling of not getting a compliment, because that means then you look bad. So she told her friends, never compliment me. Don't say I look good. Don't say you like my outfit. Like, don't talk about anything that your eyes can perceive about me. Don't say it to me, because now I don't have to question whether or not I look bad, because I know that my friends have this rule. That is somebody that is good at putting the vice down, because that's terrifying to me, to actually cut off the supply of closing the door for somebody to maybe compliment the way that I look. That's all I have. And so I think that there is a lot of power in the idea of don't compliment somebody because you think that they've lost weight. And I try to implement that, maybe not only for myself, but also for other people. There are plenty of people in my life that look amazing. They clearly have lost weight. And I won't let myself say, you look like you lost weight, you're looking good. Try to find something else to compliment, because you don't know what that person is doing so that they look that way. You don't know if they are sick. You don't know if they have a disease that is eating their body and causing them to waste away, but does make them look really good in jeans. Okay, we're almost done. Heal your relationship with food through intuitive eating. Diet culture is high drama of the highest order, says Tovar. It takes the simplest, most obvious intuitive act of eating and turns it into a high-stakes thriller every day of your life. When we turn off diet culture, food is just food, and eating is no longer a soap opera. Intuitive eating is the practice that can get you there, says registered dietitian Anya Habertamim. You have a really hard name. Our bodies are wired to know how to eat and to know how to respond to our needs. So that's what intuitive eating is. It's just learning to trust our bodies. It's prioritizing body knowledge over the external rules like calorie counting and portion size and all those things, and things like meal times and what foods to eat at certain times of the day. Repairing the wiring starts with making sure you have access to food, and that's not a given for everyone. Food insecurity, which impacted a projected 42 million people in 2021, has only gotten worse with the pandemic. Makes it hard to listen to your body. Food insecurity makes it hard to listen to your body. If you're struggling, this is not the time to beat yourself up for not being healthy enough. If you do have secure access to food, from there, it's all about ditching diet rules, honoring your hunger, and giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. That might sound like a recipe for overindulgence, but Habertamian says your body will eventually recalibrate. When you're not honoring your hunger, your body can overcorrect. It causes us to be preoccupied with food and think about food all day long. Talk about food noise. While this methodology might seem simple, intuitive eating can be a really hard process for some, especially if you've struggled with disordered eating. That's okay. And there are plenty of resources available, from workbooks to support groups to body positive nutritionists or culturally sensitive gender affirming therapists that can help you through. Befriend your body. Be honest. Would you treat your bestie the way you currently treat your body? Would you tell your good friend they weren't good enough for not looking like a model, or get angry at them if they got tired and couldn't finish a morning run? Chang says a positive relationship with your body requires the same amount of work as any other relationship in your life. Take time to listen, pay attention to its needs, and provide it with compassion. Prioritize rest and listen to your body cues, says Chang, whether that's I'm craving something sweet or I've had enough food. I've had enough food. That one goes out to all my clear your plate girly pops and boy loys and people beyond the binary. Just because you were told your whole life that you have to clear your plate doesn't mean you actually have to clear your plate if you're full. That's crazy. That is such like depression era mindset. Another way to make nice is to remember all of the ways your body's shown up for you, says Tovar. Think about it. Right now, your lungs are taking in oxygen and converting it into carbon dioxide. Your heart is pumping 5 liters of body around your body every minute. A bonus benefit: disengaging from diet culture and reconnecting with your body will likely result in a lot more free time and mental space. Let's say you've spent just 5 minutes a day worrying about food or your body or your weight, and living in the US, that's probably a conservative estimate. That's 30 full hours a year that you've dedicated to self-hatred. That is a really fucked up way to look at it. Whew. Instead, our experts say, do anything else. So maybe people will be freer and have more time and energy and money to invest in things that maybe really give them more joy and satisfaction, says Craddock, because in the absence of diet culture lies freedom. And that is the article that I have for all of you. I apologize about going on any tangents and not eloquently really explaining how I feel about things. I'm still working these things out, and this is the point of this podcast for me personally, is to work through like what is diet culture, what is a lack of self reassurance or willpower, whatever willpower is. I'm trying to figure all of that out. But at the end of the day, I mean, just stop hating yourself. Hating yourself for some people is literally a personality. Like, I get it. I remember I wanted to be in a relationship so goddamn bad. I was like, no man will ever love me, blah, blah, blah. Now I have a man that is like obsessed with me, and the idea of marriage makes me crumble and is terrifying. And I'd sooner leave before I got married at this stage in my life. And it's like, really? I really was out here on stage even saying that no man will ever love me? I think it's a me problem. That's another thing that Nikki Glaser recently talked about. Women, we're all the same. No. But yeah, so that's what I have. I hope you liked it. Everything is linked in the show notes, so check out this article. This article was based off of a podcast, so you can go and listen to that. It's like 30 minutes long. It's really great. Maybe if there's some things that I spoke about in this article that you're maybe a little bit unsure of, you can go there to clarify it, or shoot me a message, leave a comment, let me know what you thought. I would love you for that. And yeah, that's what I got. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. Love yourself. Have a fun time. It's the holidays, so don't feel bad about doing whatever. This is the time of year where you're going to holiday office parties. You're going to Friendsgivings. You're going to Christmas get-togethers. You're, having hot chocolate. You're going shopping and ending the day with a nice big meal. And you deserve all of it, okay? So don't beat yourself up. Have a great day and try not to kill yourself. I've been Kelly Taylor. Love you. Bye.